All right, we've got some breaking news for you. It's just come in. President Trump saying he wants a straight 50% tariff on the EU beginning June 1st.
What do you call it when a U.S. president slaps a 50% tariff on Europe, and Europe responds by canceling a $43 billion Boeing deal, rerouting trade through Canada, and triggering a $2 trillion shift in global commerce? Not a simple dispute, a controlled breakup. While Washington brags about its leverage, complaining about steel and peanut butter, Brussels is cutting new deals, courting China, and rewriting the rules without the U.S. in the room. This isn't just a warning, it's the exit. And by the time America looks up, it might already be locked out. Tariffs trigger immediate fallout, a $43 billion deal gone. On May 30th, 2025, President Trump declared that negotiations with the EU were going nowhere and imposed a 50% blanket tariff on all European imports, including steel, aluminum, cars, agriculture, and electronics, starting on June 1st. Within 48 hours, European stocks dropped 2.1%, and Boeing faced the real possibility of losing its largest export contract on record. According to Bloomberg, the potential loss to U.S. trade volume could exceed $2 trillion over the next decade if EU retaliations materialize. Former EU negotiator Ignacio Garcia Berchero told Euronews, "If the U.S. won't reverse course, Europe has no choice but to escalate." But the real question now is, what comes after escalation? The EU may already have the answer, and it's not across the Atlantic. The EU responds: tariffs, retaliations, and Boeing's crisis. In direct response to Trump's 50% tariff decision, the European Commission immediately confirmed that it was finalizing a second retaliation package targeting $95 billion in U.S. goods. More quietly, Europe moved to freeze a $43 billion Boeing aircraft deal, which, in addition to Ryanair's $30 billion order of 737 MAX jets, is now under review. Ryanair's CEO, Michael O'Leary, warned that Boeing's rising costs, thanks to the tariffs, are no longer sustainable. Meanwhile, Airbus surged 3.4% on the Frankfurt Exchange, and China's COMAC is now entering the conversation. In the past, it would have been unthinkable for an EU airline to buy Chinese jets over U.S.-made aircraft, but Ryanair is now exploring Chinese-made jets as a viable option. Europe's strategic reorientation, from tariff retaliation to realignment. But the real danger isn't just the tariffs, it's that Europe is using this moment to reorient itself, not only in trade but also geopolitically. While Washington has been burning diplomatic bridges, Ottawa has been building one, and Canada is emerging as a strategic partner for Europe. Through the Canada-European Union Comprehensive Economic and Trade Agreement, the EU and Canada have eliminated 98% of tariffs, creating a frictionless trade corridor projected to facilitate over €90 billion in trade annually by 2026. As U.S. tariffs have driven up steel and auto prices by double digits, European companies like Siemens and Alstom have begun shifting procurement pipelines toward Quebec and Ontario. According to a May 2025 report by the Financial Times, EU-Canada clean tech trade surged 41% year-over-year, led by a €1.2 billion hydrogen deal signed at last year's EU-Canada Clean Technology Summit. Canada has positioned itself as the preferred gateway for EU goods to North America, the unraveling of the Western trade consensus. What's unfolding now isn't just a tariff skirmish, it's the unraveling of the Western trade consensus. In just 10 weeks, the escalating duties from 10% on aluminum to 50% across the board have triggered retaliatory protocols, WTO complaints, and the potential voiding of at least 2 transatlantic megadeals. The EU has already suspended a €21 billion retaliation package set to take effect on July 15th and is preparing a second list targeting $95 billion in U.S. exports, pending the outcome of talks. While the EU finalizes its countermeasures, White House officials have not yet interpreted Trump's social media posts as formal policy. However, on June 2nd, European Commission spokesperson Olaf Gill confirmed, "We are finalizing countermeasures that will take effect on July 14th or earlier." Clean tech and the EU's strategic insulation from U.S. policy. Whiplash. As Washington escalated tariffs, Europe quietly shifted gears, pouring investment into clean tech and trade infrastructure to reduce reliance on American markets. EU-Canada clean energy projects jumped 41% in 2024, with 1.2 billion euros earmarked for hydrogen and battery initiatives. Under its Repower EU initiative, Europe is committed to producing 20 million tons of renewable hydrogen annually by 2030, enough to offset 60 billion euros in imported fossil fuels per Euroat data. A power shift, Ryanair Comac, and the end of Boeing's dominance? If Ryanair exits its $30 billion Boeing contract, it would mark the first time a major EU airline selects a Chinese Comac jet over US-made aircraft. This once inconceivable outcome is becoming more plausible as Boeing's costs continue to soar due to the tariffs. Ryanair's CEO, Michael O'Leary, has already opened talks with Comac, with delivery delays and price hikes of up to 14% on 737 MAX components, making the Comac jets look like a viable alternative. CDA and Europe's global trade pivot. The Canada-European Union Comprehensive Economic and Trade Agreement, CEDA, was never just a trade deal. It was a test run for a new global trade framework. Now, Brussels is expanding that model to Africa, Asia, and the Middle East. In 2024 alone, the EU signed a €3.4 billion supply chain cooperation deal with India, while also fast-tracking non-dollar settlements in energy contracts. The EU's strategy is shifting from defensive retaliation to structural repositioning. The global order is changing. So what happens next? If Boeing loses Europe and Comac wins credibility, the U.S. could find itself shut out of major trade deals that span hydrogen, chips, and next-gen aviation.
If you found this video insightful, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Stay tuned for more updates and content. We've got plenty more coming your way.